Okay, good afternoon, good morning. We're going to be going through some of the comics that I picked up this week. And this will be the last one for 2017. And we'll see what's going on. First of all, is anybody excited about this? Avengers No Surrender, where they're going to be, I guess, doing all three or four of the Avengers titles and gonna combine them and do like a weekly for about I guess about 3 months with three different writers and a number of different artists. The one I read is, and stop me if I'm wrong. Is the Earth disappears, and it's up to the various Avenger groups to work together to discover what happened to it. I don't know. Again, as I've said before, the only Marvel books I've been getting recently have been the various Guardians titles, and Guardians is going to be what is it? Number 151, 150, where they bring back Adam Warlock, is going to be like the last issue. They canceled 151, and I guess the storyline will be picked up in the Infinity Quest or whatever this is. And of course, none of this is going to tie into the movie. So I don't know. I'm just confused. I'm kind of going back and forth on whether or not I want to read this. I understand that Bruce Banner is coming back as the Hulk, and things like that. So I'll probably pick up at least a couple issues, and we'll see what's going on, and see if Marvel is as whacked as DC, which is pushing the border again with you got both Metals and Doomsday Clock and whatever continuing soap operas going on over in the Superman title with the Super Sons and the Titans and whatever, and which I'm guessing is supposed to tie into Doomsday Clock, but they're all, I don't know. I don't know who can figure out what's going on with a Marvel and DC at this point. And to be honest, I don't think they know either. Whether this has to do with decisions made on high by Disney, or by Warner Brothers because of the films. I don't know. I really can't say that I'm super looking forward to anything. So, beginning of 2018, maybe another cycle where I give up on the big two, at least for the most part. But we'll see. Okay, and speaking of giving up on things, here's Doomsday Clock. This is Doomsday Clock number 2 of 12. We'll see what goes on with that. Now, maybe it's just me, but they have, with all comic books nowadays, they have alternate covers. And one of them, they showcased, pardon the expression, Lex Luthor. So my first thought was, well, you know what? If they're going to bring Luthor in, a character I had not liked since, like, ages now. I've never seen him as it's like the Joker. You know, every writer feels that they have to use him, or they're obligated to use him. Oh, look, I'm using him in a new way. He has superpowers, doesn't have superpowers. He has a super suit. He's president. I've never accepted it. So I saw him on the cover, and first I thought was if he's going to become a major part of this, well, this might be the last issue, but we'll see what's going on. Now, I don't know about any of you, but I am totally addicted. I've just discovered it after everyone's been talking about it. Rick and Morty, the TV series. If you're not watching it on Adult Swim, you're really missing out. I mean, you can talk about South Park, you can talk about Simpsons, Family Guy, things like that. Now, I love all those shows, but Rick and Morty take everything to like the next level and beyond. The number of deaths and mutilations and jokes. I mean, it's unbelievable. But anyways, Oni Press is putting out a Rick and Morty comic. I've never read it before, but as I said, I've been binging a lot of the Rick and Morty episodes, which they're rerunning at night. And if you haven't seen it and you have a sense of humor, which I know some of you don't, give it a try. I'll let you know how I feel about the comic. Okay, the final issue of the Kamandi Challenge. Given that it's a round robin, some issues were better than others. The one issue which stands out, and again, I say deserves awards, is the one in which Kevin Eastman wrote it, and it simply takes place in a cavern. We have no idea why all these characters are put in there. They're all taken away, and it's heartrending. I mean, you really feel within a single issue, you're just, and only sometimes for a few panels, there's something about these characters you're touched by them, and you don't know their fate. And unfortunately, we have this. We see that Kamandi's mom is back. Big spoiler if you haven't read it yet. It's not exactly what Kamandi had thought. This is not the reunion that he had hoped for. But again, this is Paul Levitz, Gail Simone. So I really have high expectations for this final issue, and we'll see what happens. But as I say, there've been decent issues. I don't think I've seen a bad issue. So once it's collected in a couple of trade paperbacks, I highly recommend you pick it up. Again, especially for that single episode you can find in the comic shop, written by Eastman, which I think is number 10. It is absolutely brilliant, and it'll break your heart. If it doesn't, then you know what? Unfriend me now, because something wrong with you, dude. Exo Man of War. I'm really enjoying this series. I've always been fascinated by the character. Eric was a Roman soldier who was taken by a alien race, used as sort of a gladiator and a warrior. And one day, pretty much gets fed up with it, steals the Exo armor, returns to Earth. Well, as in these stories, things never work out. In this one, Exo is, if you're not following it, Eric is on another world. He's the only Earthman there. It's the world is split up into maybe a half dozen different races, and they're all at war with each other. But Eric is able to get them together enough so that they can defeat the Emperor. And of course, as in these tales always go, once you've killed the Emperor and you become the Emperor, well, can you be better than him? As Emperor, do you not automatically become a tyrant? And who can you trust? Great issue. I highly recommend it. Check it out. This is issue number 10. And that's it. And one more. This is Turok, who is no longer Son of Stone. This is a spin-off from the Sovereigns miniseries. And Turok is seeking his daughter, who has been taken by a race of intelligent dinosaurs, and it looks like she's going to be sacrificed. It's really good. This and I also recommend Magnus, who's a different take on that, is the female Magnus, who's not fighting robots but actually working with them and trying to understand why they're doing what they do. That's it for now. And that's all I got this week. But going back to last week, I mentioned it. I really highly recommend Jughead, which is, well, it's Jughead the Hunger, which is part of, it's not really a spin-off of Afterlife with Archie, which a title which I absolutely loved, but it's the same characters in the same sort of thing, except here, instead of being a zombie as an Afterlife, turns out Jughead is from a family of werewolves, and Betty Cooper is a werewolf hunter. And you get to see a number of familiar characters, some of whom don't meet a good fate. And we're seeing some other characters, one of whom we thought was dead, but turns out it isn't. And as usual, Veronica has ulterior motives for whatever she does, and not exactly sure what that is in this case. But anyways, if you're the Archie supernatural books, this one, Afterlife with Archie, if they ever start publishing that again, Sabrina, the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, which again is not an actual tie-in to Afterlife, and they're all separate. They all involve the same characters, but they're all sort of in separate worlds, all involving vampires, witches, werewolves, zombies, and Cthulhu. You can't beat that. And that is it for me. Thank you very much for listening to me ramble. A very happy New Year, and I hope your Festivus was exciting and you learned facts about your family that you can never forget. Peace out.